Hello, comrades and cadres. This is the Engelsist here, joined by my co-host, Red Fenian Punk. Say hi, Niall.
Hello there, Slongerful. Sorry, Saoirse Greaves.
Seriously,
I guess red salute. My Irish is failing me. Yeah, but red salute to all.
it happens.
It does.
I only recently learned how to say hello in Irish.
I say Saoirse Greaves rather than Deargitch because it means freedom to you rather than God to you.
Yeah,
but that's just my take on it. But anyway, yes.
Yeah. So we're here to talk about the first thing on our agenda is the state of the Greek economy that is slowly recovering from the fucking devastation of the IMF and the EU. You know, like, listen, I'm not a big Brexiteer. You know, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. If anybody should have left the EU, it's fucking Greece.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I mean, Greece is. I think it has a minor imperialist economy because it's a capitalist economy, but it's nothing like the imperial power that France.
If there's anybody, we were like the UK was pimping people out in the EU. Greece were not pimping people out in the same way. Greece got fucked by the EU. They were the people who were. They were the people who, when Nigel Farage talks about the problems with the bureaucracy and exploitation of the EU, they were the people who were getting fucking exploited. So Nigel Farage, in a sense, was correct, but as any fascist does, he turns it around to people who aren't oppressed to tell them that they're oppressed and need to rise up.
Pretty much. I mean, how fascist Farage is, you can debate a lot, but
it's debatable. I wouldn't say he's a classical fascist.
No, he errs towards it, and he quite happily uses them.
He's a populist. He's a right-wing populist.
Right-wing reactionary populist, yes.
Like, he might at heart be a fascist, but you'll never know because he's also a bit of a grifter. Like,
yeah, he's a career grifter politician. So
he's dumped 2 parties, 3 now. He dumped. He dumped. Well, no, just 2. He dumped UKIP, then he dumped Brexit Party, and now it's Reform UK.
Is that what it is? Yeah, well, he was in the Tory Party originally, wasn't he? I think.
I think so. Something like
the right wing of the Tory Party.
Part of me wants to do a deep dive on Nigel Farage because his career is very interesting.
Oh, sure.
And also, he is very influential. He's very good at making the right people angry, the right people who will vote for him. In fact, so much that the Brexit Party got elected to the EU, which was one of the funniest moments in politics I've ever seen.
Somewhat ironic, yes.
It was very funny. It was very funny.
You couldn't make that shit up, could you?
I gotta give it to him. He made me laugh. But, like...
Sense of humor is a petty bourgeois deviation. That's one of my jokes that always gets a laugh every time I say that to leftists because we've all met someone like that.
It kills me. It reminds me of every SWP member I've ever met.
SWP, RCG,
any of these
GBML. Yeah. Oh God. Comrades, that is inappropriate. Oh, fuck off.
Stick up my ass, the ass as I is the fucking Burj Khalifa.
Yeah. I always want to say, can I interest you in some anal beads and a double-ended dildo just to be really vulgar? And they're all...
Yeah.
Like,
so, over the years, with threat of bankruptcy, Greece was forced to borrow 256 billion euros from the International Monetary Fund and the Eurozone partners. Yeah. And Greece and the recessionary effects of that are ridiculous.
Yes.
In an economic sense, running a deficit isn't always the worst thing if you've got a lot of social safety nets and government safety nets.
Yeah.
But most countries that run a deficit really shouldn't be. Like,
no.
Generally not a good sign if you're running a massive deficit on the IMF, because the IMF will come and fucking collect. And it's the way it was made. The World Bank and the IMF coming from John Maynard Keynes, the founder of social democracy.
Yes.
One of. Yeah. I could argue a few other people were the founders of social democracy, but
I'm a bit sketchy on it, so I think that I'd agree with what you're saying, but my knowledge is a bit sketchy.
Him with the Clement Attlee government was the founder. of social democracy in the modern sense as we know it. And he was very good at making people not become communist in European countries. And all that cost was exploiting the shit out of the third world. And that's a very small price to pay if you live in Sweden, because you don't give a fuck.
Yes. Yeah. First worldism, basically.
Social democracy is the ultimate first worldism. It's fuck everyone else. I'm gonna live in my little bubble with my comfy social safety nets and
we're all right, Jack. Yeah, we're all right, Jack. We're a civilized country. Well, it's their fault for being uncivilized barbarians in the global south.
Oh yeah, like all of Africa, Africa's constantly at war and famine, and we totally don't have anything to do with it. Like, like back in Rwanda to commit a revenge genocide in the 90s.
No, it's if they're stupid enough to fall for it, they're stupid. We're gonna take advantage of them, and it's.
And the ones who don't fall advantage to it, we're gonna surround them with boats so that they can't get fucking trade.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Anyway,
that I think that I've said my piece on the Greek economy, because there's the girl on the article talking about we've got to have less restrictions on the private sector, blah blah blah, same old red tape bullshit, even though it's clearly the government's fault for because as soon as they sacked fucking the left wing party that were in power, which got couped because they wanted to turn their money to be based off of gold again. Like Gaddafi. If you want to change from another standard to gold, have nuclear weapons. That's my only tip.
Basically.
Have nuclear weapons and be prepared to use them.
Yeah. Awful thing to have to resort to, but you need your nuclear warheads, because that's
to transition to some very big hypocrites when it comes to nuclear war. We have our second article.
Yes, very true. Yeah,
titled Al Jazeera. Give sorrow words the G7 leaders reflect at the Hiroshima Bomb Museum.
Yeah.
So I'll skip all of the fucking rigmarole and thing, and I'll skip to the quotes.
Yes.
As Prime Minister of Japan, Fumio Kishida.
I can't find his name actually.
I think it's her. It might be a
Fumio Kishida. I'm not sure.
Kishida, yeah. As the chair of G7, I am gathered here today with the leaders of the G7 countries on this historic occasion of the G7 summit. Jesus Christ. They really try to fit in the G7 summit, aren't they? Like, branding is everything to these people. To realize a world without nuclear weapons. Joe Biden. May the stories of this museum remind us all of our obligations to build a future of peace. Together, let's continue to make progress towards the day we can finally be rid of nuclear weapons forever. Keep the faith.
Keep the faith. Oh, my fellow Americans, keep the faith.
I feel it in my bones. Not like they haven't aggressed territories. Not like they haven't been creating Davy Crockett rockets to make smaller nuclear bombs that might be able to be used in war zones without
that's different.
Retail. Well, it's different because we do it,
We're a democracy. We're the good guys. I mean, Hollywood movies is just full of it. I mean, the good guys are Americans and maybe nice British with transatlantic accents. The bad guys
Russia is technically as much of a democracy as fucking the US is.
Oh yeah, technically, yeah. It's
like United Russia were elected.
True. Yeah. Like.
Trump proves that American democracy is very negotiable.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
If you're popular enough, democracy is very. You can work your way around it. Democracy doesn't have to be a thing.
But Kishida Day, it is a blog, by the way. I couldn't. I hate finding gaps in my knowledge there. Yeah, Fumio Kishida.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you also think that Angela Merkel was still the fucking the prime minister, because I also thought
Angela Merkel. I keep forgetting. Yeah, I mean, because it's just this horrible like grey porridge of bullshit and bourgeois faces that keep coming and going. Even I find myself zoning out and going, hang on, who's the Chancellor of Germany again? Who's the you forget it's not Angela Merkel anymore. It's Olaf. What's his name?
Olaf Scholz.
Scholz. Yeah, Olaf Scholz. And
the FDP lads. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Social Democrats. Slightly softer, like nicer than the Christian Democrats, but being nicer.
Like in terms of world politics, he's not the most shit, but he's still like
it's relative, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, he's like there's far worse than him. Speaking of which, Prime Minister Rishi Sunak,
like Biden, he's using the stereotypes of keep the faith because it's a kind of American stereotype, and Sunak does the same with Shakespeare tells us give sorrow words. I went, just fuck off, Sunak.
Wanking himself off. Like
it's like I mean, I hate. I have to be careful wording it, but when you come from an immigrant family like you do, I do as well, you get this pressure on you to integrate, and some people like Sunak take it to the next level of you get people with these like Indian and Caribbean and African faces and are very Irish names, and they try and anglicize them, and they try and speak with this refined. Look at me, I'm so British, and he's one of those. Do you know what I mean? He's doing
100% authentic British Raj is what you see.
He's very much the comprador of the British Raj. I mean, that's why a lot of Indians a lot of the Asian community hate him, and fucking good for them. I hated these.
Them. He's a fucking cunt.
Of course he is. That's the thing. I mean, I saw some Asian Indian diaspora comedians talking about it. I said the Indian side of them is like yes, but the political side of them is like because it's awful. Yeah,
I get how people can be like the first Indian prime minister and feel a bit of pride, like that. Like I can understand that as people can achieve this despite, race or creed.
It's just tokenism.
You have a shit ton of money, if you have a shit ton of money, you can go past the fact that you'd be called racial slurs.
Numerous racial slurs, which we won't mention because we don't want to get banned off social media.
And I'm not a cunt.
And we're not cunts, yeah. You said try not to be. I've been called one enough times.
There's two slurs I use, and they both apply to me, and it's faggot and retard, and I've been called them half my life.
Well, faggot doesn't apply to me, but weirdo, retard, bog trotter.
All of that shit I've been called my entire life. So I'm allowed to take that back. I'm not the most PC of people, if I'm honest.
What shall we call what is often known as PC or wokeness, cringeworthy expressions, but what they call it tends to be just radical liberalism. It's like ban naughty words and we're fighting racism. You're not doing shit about institutional or systemic racism. You're just banning people from saying naughty words.
Now, if I also believe in the philosophy talk shit get hit. If you call an Indian person, like a slur, then you should get your fucking shit pushed in. If you call a black person the N-word, you should be cracked over the head. I believe in freedom of speech. I do not believe in freedom to get away with the freedom of speech.
Well, it's freedom of an individual as in a collective is not the same as individualism. I keep meaning to do a video about that. Individuality and individualism are deliberately conflated.
But if we're to get quickly back to this,
yes, we need to.
Language fails in light of the bomb's flash. No one can describe the horror and suffering of the people of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. But what we can say with all our hearts and all our souls is no more. Whilst putting a shit ton of funding into Trident, asterisk. This isn't even to say I disagree with having nuclear weapons. I think that that's a neutral thing. Now that when countries have nuclear weapons, and I've seen what happens to countries without nuclear weapons, I understand
Syria.
The sad necessity to them. But saying never again whilst fucking funding Trident is ridiculous. It's a ridiculous statement.
And a right-wing reactionary nationalist leader of one of the most violent empires in history that still exists in a different form while saying shit like this is the
Horrendous.
hypocrisy is so glaring. It's just embarrassing. I mean, it's almost hilarious. It's funny in a way. The irony of it is hilarious, but it's also fucking enraging. You know,
Yeah.
the gall of the fucker. You know, and then he can fall back on. Oh, you know, it's like, I mean, you'd get them. I'm an Indian person. I'm an Irish person. Oh, you can't. You. Oh no, I'm not racist. I'm brown. Fuck off. I'm not. You know, I'm not. You know,
Systematic oppression doesn't have anything to do with you personally calling somebody.
Yeah. It's the shrewd, the sheer fucking disingenuous dishonesty of all of them. It makes me sort
The
of.
fact that you're still willing to put up with Stormont being fucking defunct for 5 years, it tells him that he doesn't give a shit about democracy or a shit about the right wing holding up democratic process.
None of them do. None of them do.
Yeah. So, and also, you know, they say all this shit about Russia whilst we're preparing to commit multiple wars. So this isn't to vindicate Russia. Russia have fucking fuck Russia. They can go fuck themselves. But
the Russian culture, the Russian people is a different matter, but the Russian government,
government and the army can go fuck themselves.
Oh, for sure.
But I think
the Wagner PR, the Wagner PMC, or whatever they call it.
Yeah, fucking the Wagner group. Fucking there. Yeah,
mercenaries.
Russian Blackwater. Fucked.
Yes, exactly. I mean, they're mercenaries. It's their default setting is fascist.
Yeah, but in saying this, fuck Trident, fuck nuclear war, and I think we can leave on that.
Yes, I think we can. Yeah, it's a shit show, and I don't know what else I can say, really. You know.
Yeah. Hope everybody's enjoyed. Chuck you all, and I'll see you.
Sir Joe, Slán go fóill.